So Darwin has a certain explanation of the origin of human intelligence or reason, which is kind of should make a distinction between those two things, but for the purposes of this, I don't think it's that important. But and a explanation of the origin of our moral capabilities. That is, the presumption is that we came from earlier forms of life, and that those forms of life did not have reason or morality, but it must have emerged in us naturally through the course of evolution and natural selection. And I think that his explanation of how reason, or at least high intelligence, the kind of intelligence that does separate us from the rest of the animals, could have emerged. And the answer is it's just that intelligence is an adaptation. So it will tend to be something that will increase in a species. He says the mental faculties are certainly variable. Now, that's the idea that one creature is smarter than another. And the idea here is that, and this is controversial, to say that one individual of a certain species can be smarter than another just genetically, and that this can be passed on. I mean, this is just something he believes, which may or may not be true, right? But the mental faculties are certainly variable, and the variations are inherited. No one doubts that they are of the utmost importance to animals in a state of nature. Therefore, the conditions are favorable for their development through natural selection. The same conclusion may be extended to man, to human beings. The intellect must have been all important to him, even in a very remote period, as enabling him to invent and use language, to make weapons, tools, traps, etc., whereby, with the aid of his social habits, he long ago became the most dominant of all living creatures. So intelligence has an adaptation value, right? And so it will tend to be passed on. So every increase in intelligence that emerges as a result of mutation will tend to be preserved in the species, and this will just make us smarter and smarter. So the idea is that our intelligence, our greater intelligence over other creatures, is really not all that difficult to explain. I mean, a dog is more intelligent than a bug, right? So why the fact that a human being is much more intelligent than a dog shouldn't be really that difficult to explain in naturalistic terms. The real difficulty is explaining our moral qualities. As he says, the development of the moral qualities is a more interesting problem. The foundation lies in the social instinct. I mean, read it for yourself, right? The basic idea is that we have social instincts. We also have high intelligence. So the origin of conscience is when our social instincts are thwarted by when we do something selfish and then remember it later. Just read that section. And it's a pretty ingenious, I don't know if it's true, but it's pretty ingenious naturalistic evolutionary account of the origin of human conscience. That if we presume that we have social instincts, and we presume also that sometimes we do selfish things against those social instincts, and we presume also that we have enough intelligence to remember these things afterwards, that remembering afterwards will induce a feeling of dissatisfaction in the social instincts, and that's the origin of conscience. Read the thing yourself. I don't know how convincing an account it is, but it's certainly an early, kind of ingenious naturalistic account of us as moral creatures, how we became moral creatures in a sort of natural way, rather than, some authoritative God granting us a moral sense or us stealing it as we did, right, in this Adam